when you speak with Republicans, a lot of them, you know, publicly really don't want to say a lot of things about Tuberville and, you know, are publicly backing him. But when you speak with people behind the scenes, a lot of them, you know, are concerned about the tactics he's using, you know, whether this is actually hurting national security, not to have some of these top military leaders actually in their posts.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle. I'm joined today by Congressional Reporter Samantha-Jo Roth. SJ, the big name that we're hearing a lot about in the Senate right now is Tommy Tuberville, and we're not hearing about it for football-related reasons. Why is he such a controversial figure in the upper chamber right now, including among some Republicans?
Yeah, so basically the Alabama senator is blocking all of these military promotions. He is taking issue with a Pentagon policy that was, you know, put up in the wake of, you know, the Dobbs decision, stating that the military will pay travel expenses for folks who need to travel out of state for an abortion. A lot of times they're saying reproductive treatment. That's kind of how they're phrasing it. Tuberville believes that it is not constitutional, that, you know, the funds should not be able to be spent in that way. So basically he's blocking upwards of 250 military confirmations, and that has caused a lot of, you know, drama, which happens a lot in the Senate, but we've never really seen anything like this before.
So a lot of Republicans agree with Senator Tuberville that the Pentagon shouldn't have this policy on abortion and would like to see it go away. But Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and some other Republican senators sound like that they don't like this tactic for trying to get them to reverse it.
Yeah, it's really interesting because when you speak with Republicans, a lot of them, you know, publicly really don't want to say a lot of things about Tuberville and, you know, are publicly backing him. But when you speak with people behind the scenes, a lot of them, you know, are concerned about the tactics he's using, you know, whether this is actually hurting national security, not to have some of these top military leaders actually in their posts. So, you know, I think there is a growing, you know, frustration behind the scenes from both sides, and it's really unclear what exactly they're going to be able to do about it because, you know, we've already been told that technically the Senate Minority Leader really can't do anything about this. Just the way the Senate is structured, any one senator can hold up an entire process. That's just how the system was designed. Sure, Schumer could take up floor time and, you know, bring up each of these nominations one by one, but I think he's going to be very resistant to doing so because, you know, that is showing that he's giving in to this kind of what he would call hostage taking. So, you know, we've been covering a lot of that this week. Behind the scenes, a lot of Republicans are trying to figure out a way to compromise with the Alabama Senator Tuberville, but, you know, so far it doesn't sound like anything short of just the Pentagon reversing this policy. They're not going to do it.
And it puts two Republican goals or Republican sort of imaging things in conflict with each other in that Republicans want to be the tough on national defense party and they also want to be the pro-life party. This sort of has these priorities competing with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is some of the frustration that we're starting to see behind the scenes with folks, you know, worried that this is actually going to put, you know, security, national security around the world at risk. We've been hearing that, you know, from Democrats, from defense officials, but a lot of Republicans themselves are not really saying that outwardly. And I think that really just goes to your point that it is, you know, this balance right now for Republicans.
So finally, we're really early in the appropriations process, but we can already see that there's a little bit of tension between the House and Senate on how these spending bills are going to look, especially relative to some of the caps set in the debt ceiling deals. What are we hearing right now?
So basically the Senate Appropriations Committee, they set all of their top line numbers just based on the debt ceiling bill that was just negotiated, setting in place all of those caps. But what we saw a couple of weeks earlier is the House did not do that. They, issued some additional cuts that were not specified in this, negotiation between the House Speaker and the president. And it's interesting because, we know that a lot of folks were just not very happy with this deal on all sides. But Republicans in the House Appropriations Committee, kind of went rogue and did their own thing. So now, federal spending to have differences in both of the chambers is something that they're going to have to work out in the next coming months. Government spending is going to run out, and they need to be on the same page. So whether this is another, potential federal government shutdown, partial shutdown, we're so familiar with these things. I think it is a little too early to say, but it certainly is something at risk. And I will say that folks up in the Senate are definitely, a little concerned about what just happened in the lower chamber.
So we seem to have one of these crises now every few months.
I know. We thought we were done. We are not.
Done. It's never over. Never-ending story. Thank you, SJ.
Thank you.
You can read Samantha-Jo and the rest of our political team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.